Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into ChargePoint's latest quarterly report. And let me tell you, it's a bit like plugging your EV into a charger that's promising a full battery but only delivers half. Are they really charging forward or are they just spinning their wheels? This report paints a picture of a company navigating a bumpy road. Revenue is down, losses continue, and some key metrics are flashing warning signs. But don't worry, we'll break it all down in plain English. If you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. Come join. Let's start by looking at the balance sheet. This shows what the company owns and owes. We're comparing numbers from April of 2025 to January of the same year. First up, cash and cash equivalents, a company's lifeline. ChargePoint saw theirs drop from about $224.6 million to roughly $195.9 million. That's a decrease, meaning they used more cash than they brought in. Next, accounts receivable, the money owed to ChargePoint by its customers. This increased slightly from approximately $95.9 million to about $98.7 million. It shows that even if they brought in more sales, the sales are tied up in getting cash. Inventories, the value of their charging systems waiting to be sold, also increased, going from $2,009.3 million to about $212.4 million. Are people buying these charging systems, or is there a pile of inventory collecting dust? Looking past all these numbers to more abstract ones, we have goodwill, which is an intangible asset representing the value of acquisitions. It jumped from $207.5 million to $227.5 million. An increase means ChargePoint thinks that value is increasing. Switching over to the liability side, accounts payable, what ChargePoint owes to its suppliers, decreased from about $64.2 million. That means it's paying back debts and promises. Now, looking at the shares, the number of common stock shares outstanding rose from about 456.1 million to 461.6 million. This means more shares were issued, which can dilute the value of existing shares. Total revenue took a dip, decreasing from roughly $107 million to $97.6 million. In simple terms, ChargePoint sold less stuff. That's a decrease of almost $10 million. Now, cost of revenue, the direct cost of producing their goods and services, also decreased from approximately $83.4 million to $69.7 million. Gross profit, which is what's left after subtracting the cost of revenue from total revenue, increased from roughly $23.6 million to almost $28 million. So while sales dipped, profitability of sales has increased. Operating expenses, the cost to run the business, decreased from approximately $90.7 million to $81.8 million. That means the cost cutting is kicking in. Zooming into operating expenses in more detail, research and development saw a dip from $36 million to about $33.5 million. Sales and marketing also had a big decrease from $35 million to $26.2 million. Now, general and administrative, however, had a slight increase from $19.7 to $22.1 million. Now let's talk about debt and specifically interest expenses. These expenses are around $6.4 million, which is on par with last year. ChargePoint has to pay for the money it borrowed. Finally, the bottom line, the net loss decreased from about $71 billion to $57.1 million. So ChargePoint is still losing money, but they are losing less money than last year. Net loss per share also improved from a loss of $0.17 to a loss of $0.12. But keep in mind, the weighted average shares went up. Let's shift to the statement of cash flows, looking at where the cash is going. Net cash used in operating activities decreased from 62.5 to about 33 million. This indicates improvements in how ChargePoint is managing its day-to-day operations. Let's head over to the debt section. I want to talk about their convertible note. While debt outstanding remains pretty much the same at roughly $307 million, the fair value continues to be significantly less in the $230 million range, which is something to take note of. Finally, let's head over to see how ChargePoint is dealing with stock-based compensation. I want to highlight that total stock-based compensation is down, showing a decline from about $21.6 million to $17.9 million. Now, is this a good thing? That means people are more careful with their stock. Alright, let's zoom out and get a summary of ChargePoint's financials. While revenue is down, ChargePoint seems to be getting more efficient as profitability of sales increased. The large cash pile that they have might not last forever if the cost-cutting plans are not implemented correctly. In the future, ChargePoint needs to focus on continuing their cutting costs while increasing revenue. ChargePoint also listed a bunch of risk factors that might affect them. I'm not going to read the full list, but here's a summary. Thin to revenue, supply chains, competition, international expansion efforts. Now for my take on ChargePoint, they are definitely trying to cut costs. It seems like they need that effort to work for them to survive. ChargePoint should also focus on providing better pricing to increase sales and get their name out there. Alright, that's our breakdown of ChargePoint's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.